With the Citi Double Cash Card, you get 1% cash back when you buy and 1% as you pay. That's like the joy of getting 2 W's on the road or catching the home run ball without spilling your drink. Double boom. Double the love with the Citi Double Cash Card. Apply now at Citi.com/doublecash.
This is the best of the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz podcast.
ESPN, the magazine senior writer, Mina in with us. She's working on a big story about a subject I can't tell you about because she's very private about these things, but you should check it out. Her last one was on Aaron Rodgers in ESPN, the magazine, and this one is on its way. I will give you no more information because journalists can be psychotic about that stuff. Mina apologized 3 times during the break.
Didn't count.
No, it doesn't count, but just so that you know going forward, Mina will be fined every time she says, I'm sorry, so you, the audience, can be vigilant. Anytime she apologizes for anything on air, she gets fined $1. Now, she's tried to pay for this with a $20 bill that was eaten by her dog. It's the most eaten $20 bill I've ever seen, and so I don't know whether that's a $20 bill that can ever...
Is it showing on... Anyways, it has 2 bite marks. I came home one day, and it was... I had a wallet full of 1s and 5s, and this was the only bill he ate, a $20 bill. It was folded in half. He took a big chomp out of it. I've been waiting to use this for a year.
The way I understand money is that just one of these serial numbers is a serial number on each side, and if one of them is showing which one of them is on this particular bill, then you can use it anywhere. Also, the banks will replace any bill. Doesn't matter. You walk into a bank with this bill, they will give you a fresh $20 bill.
I don't believe that that's true. I think you're making
up... Look into it.
How do you know so much about this?
I know these things, man.
I don't think that that's true. Put it up on the poll. Will the bank replace any bill, no matter how chewed up it is? I mean, you're just making that up. You just saw Stugotz chewing on his tongue while thinking. If you were watching, that's something that makes a delightful appearance.
I was getting something out of my teeth. That's really all I was doing. Granola bar.
I thought for sure you were planning some sort of counterfeit scam in your head. You were thinking about, like, how do I go and take up all the chewed up bills, take them people don't know that their chewed up bills have value, and so I will buy them for less and then take them to the bank and make more.
I'll buy you 20 for 10 and bring it back to the bank.
People do that, I think. This is like a common crime. Mm-hmm. Also, before we learned all of your cues, Dan taught me chewing on your tongue means you're thinking, turning the chair away means you're filled with pride and shame at the same time. What is his lying cue? Oh,
that's just breathing.
Yeah.
That's just
waking up in the morning.
If he's sitting in front of you, he's lying. It doesn't matter whether if he's holding his breath, he might not be lying, but I think he might also figure out a way. He's thinking of lies. He's concocting lies, but they're not coming out of his face yet.
True.
Got a number of things to talk about. Stugotz is mad at LeVar Ball and loved the Scott Brooks reaction to LeVar Ball.
I'm not mad at LeVar Ball. I'm mad at the reaction to
Excuse
LeVar
me.
Ball.
Sorry.
Yes.
I misexplained that. My bad.
The balls.
It was interesting because Marcin Gortat, who plays for Scott Brooks on the Wizards, he tweeted at Lonzo Ball that John Wall is going to tear him up for an entire night. And then Scott Brooks was asked about it, and he said what he had to say about Marcin Gortat, but then went on to talk about LeVar Ball and said, yeah, he puts himself out there a lot. Maybe too much once in a while, but my father left me at 2, and he's a good dad. And he essentially defended LeVar Ball, saying, hey, I didn't have a father since the age of 2. I would have killed to have someone like LeVar Ball around me, encouraging me the way he's been around his kids, encouraging his kids, even with some of the stuff on the side. And I think people lose sight of that. They really do. And they're judging a guy from a million miles away without spending real quality time with LeVar Ball and seeing how he is.
As opposed to all the quality time you've spent with LeVar Ball.
I haven't, but I'm also not judging him.
Well, you're judging him to be a good parent. You're doing the other thing on the other side.
No, I've always said I only care what his kids say. And his kids say this is normal for us, and we love him. So I'm not judging him either way. I just find him to be entertaining.
Yeah, I feel like there's a bit of a sea change now because the first game with Patrick Beverley, everybody was laughing. Oh, he's taunting Lonzo. Finally, the revenge on LeVar. And then with this Gortat thing, the comments by Lonzo were like, oh, yeah, it's fine. I'm just going to play hard. His teammates were like, leave him alone. And it's beginning to feel like it's bullying towards Lonzo now. I don't know why, but I feel like now when players go after him for his father, it does seem a little disingenuous.
Well, this is what has happened here that I find interesting because we were talking about this yesterday. Michael Wilbon called this editorial malpractice, okay? That we allow LeVar Ball on our televisions to then feed the Beverleys and the Gortats of the world, and he is a father, and he is saying this. He said this as a black father. I'm bothered by the target that he has put on his child's back, and while I see why it is that fathers would say that, I also understand why this father is saying, no, that target's on my son anyway. I want him to grow up fast. He needs to learn now that Patrick Beverley is coming for him, and so I'm going to speed up this curve. If my son was soft before, he is going to be made harder now, and if he's not made harder, he will then be pushed out of the league because that does not survive in that league.
And it's interesting because he had the first, opening night was bad for him. It was at home. It was national TV. He was embarrassed. Everyone was embarrassed, right? I'm certain his dad, he didn't give it off, but he was embarrassed. But then he bounced back and had a really big game.
Right.
A really big game. So
it just feels phony to me. Like, nobody's angry with Lonzo Ball. None of these players hate him. None of them want him to fail. They just know that if they say something about him now, we'll put their quotes on camera. Patrick Beverley got probably more screen time than Patrick Beverley's gotten in. And maybe some of that was that he's an intense guy, but it feels like they're like, oh, this is the joke that everyone's in on. I'm going to get in on this. There's like no real antipathy towards Lonzo Ball.
Okay, but here's where I would say, though, that this is a real thing, that the target isn't something fictitious. What you're talking about there with Patrick Beverley specifically, Patrick Beverley is saying to himself, no, you come get some of that here. I am going to make my name off you tonight. Yeah, and that has been put on Lonzo Ball by his father. That wasn't there because of just Lonzo Ball walking into the arena. That and Gortat, like, they are coming for him and they want to embarrass him because of his dad. But his dad is looking at that as, either my son survives it or he don't. And he will be made so much stronger by this because when he becomes a physical man, Beverly's not going to be able to do that to him anymore. He can only do that to him because he's still kind of a college kid.
Within this Gortat article, Lonzo is quoted as saying, this is how I grew up. This is normal for me. He's talking about the pressure. He's talking about having all eyes on him. But I just find that fascinating because that's not how I would parent my child. But I understand that this would have rewards if you're trying to parent your child to be the best basketball player ever.
I don't know if you heard LeVar's most recent audio, because now all of a sudden many of us are excited for this Washington Wizards-Los Angeles Lakers game, and LeVar took the opportunity to ratchet up the rivalry a little bit.
Washington's coming in here on Wednesday.
Washington coming in here Wednesday, they better beware, because Lonzo ain't losing again. Not in the same week.
Sure.
Well, how do you feel about him, Mina?
But hold on, real quick, Mina. That is interesting that he's done a remarkable job. He has me interested in Lakers-Wizards. Game 4 of the regular season. He does. I want to see Wall versus Lonzo Ball.
I don't know whether this guy is a cartoon idiot genius. I don't know. I want more of him so that I can study it.
You want more. You're like, yes, give me that LeVar.
Well, I just want more anarchy. I like the idea of people wondering, should the father be on television? I want the content.
I feel like I have a weird stance on him. Maybe this is. I don't hate him or love him. I don't really care about him. I don't find him that I love anarchy and I love hilarious quotes. I mean, everything Joel Embiid's poured into my mouth. It is so funny and so compelling. He's predictable to me. He's saying the same stuff over and over. I just don't find it that interesting. I don't hate him either, though.
No, and that's fair. No, that's fair because what I would say, I think what I felt, I felt the same thing Mina did when I was watching Stephen A. and LeVar Ball. I'm like, I'm watching a bad comedy skit. Yeah. Like, they're both sort of, and now maybe you thought it was a good comedy skit, but I thought it was sort of a hacky comedy skit where it's like, my son has had the terrible game. Let's go to the adult journalist and let's go to the, the adult father and let's have a cartoon sort of spoof of what an interview is supposed to be. I thought they both were in character there, and there it didn't feel, it sort of didn't feel organic. But only because it wasn't uproariously funny to me. It could have been if they had both been more clever. But no. But I do think that they might. You didn't think the first time it was funny? You haven't thought
the very first time I heard LeVar. But it's a shtick now, right? I mean, he's not giving us fresh, original material. Am I wrong in thinking this?
No, you're right.
Everything Joel Embiid says is new and fresh and funny, and I'm like, oh my god! Like, how did he put those words together?
It's kind of the same thing every time he opens up his mouth, right?
Yeah, it just I'm not offended. He's fine. Mm-hmm. I'm not. The end of the Republic is LeVar Ball.
But I still find it entertaining.
No, but I think
I know we're in reruns already, but I still find them.
It's not high comedy. It's not.
Stop talking about Michael Wilbon this way.
Don Le Batard.
Forget the off-court stuff now, because I already brought that up. That's far more serious, and I appreciate your answers with that. But on the basketball court, on a lighter level, you have put a spotlight on your sons.
He put a spotlight on them.
If you are just joining us, we are watching First Take. We go back now to live coverage.
Stugotz.
But Daddy elevating him the way that you do. You cutting checks. Your son's going to have to cash his max.
No checks. Y'all the one trying to cash these checks.
LeVar, does it ever seem to you like everyone's outraged by by a lot of people who
Max, get out of the way, Max!
Yeah.
Max, get out of the way!
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
Giancarlo Stanton, Mike Ryan, is in a sensual, sultry music video. He was on Jimmy Kimmel Live. He gone. He wants to be out there. Like he wants to live in Los Angeles, not Miami. Like he's going to end up someplace else. He said on Jimmy Kimmel Live that he hasn't even met with the new owners. We have that sound here from, but just the idea that he would sit down. That has not been who Stanton has been. But now he's making music videos. Now he's even going on Jimmy Kimmel Live, which is not something he would have wanted to do once upon a time.
So you have new ownership now in Miami. Derek Jeter's one of the owners of the team. And there are a lot of rumors that they're going to rebuild. They're going to just kind of knock everything down and start over again and maybe send you to another team. Does that seem crazy to you?
It does seem crazy because that's all I've known my whole career.
I mean, how many home runs do you have to hit for this team to want you to stay around?
Right.
Have you spoken? Have you had meetings with them and expressed this?
We're going to get together after the World Series. Everything stays a bit quiet until then.
You've had no meetings with the new ownership?
No meetings.
Wow. That is just unbelievable to me. You would look so good in a Mets uniform. You know that?
It's going to be a Dodger uniform.
I like beating up on the Mets.
Funny. That's weird. Like, you would think Derek Jeter, the first thing he would do is figure out a way to get with Giancarlo Stanton.
He had to replace the sculpture first.
Right.
I mean, it was busy.
More important.
Yeah.
Right.
Come
on. You've got to meet with him unless he gone. Yeah. Like, all he is a value. He's a value that they're going to cut payroll, and that's where they're going to cut it. Like,
he should be gone, right? That's the smart baseball. I'm no dog in this Marlins race, but that didn't make sense. But anyways, he should be gone, right? That's what they should do is...
I guess. I mean, a 27-year-old who just hit 50 homers,
who's being
entering
paid,
his prime.
59 home runs.
59, entering his prime.
Paid all of the money on a team that won't be competitive during his window. Right?
Jeter should be gone, and this Mattingly should be gone, if you ask me. Jeez.
I mean, he's paying himself $5 million a year, Derek Jeter, and he can't figure out 15 minutes to meet with Giancarlo Stanton. Seriously,
I mean, he has been all around town, going to see plays and going to dinners with P. Diddy. He can't meet with his actual team. It's a bit much.
He's an editor.
He needs to go on. He needs to donate money to this, and he says, he just likes the applause. How about do your job?
Well, his job, to Mina's point, though, Mina's right about this. He is their value. If they've got to cut payroll, and he says they're going to cut payroll, if they're going to cut payroll because they don't have money, that's the big contract that you move because it's one that people will take. It has that value, and they'll give you something in return for it. Unfortunately, you won't get value for him like you would for a normal 59-homer, 27-year-old person because everyone knows that contract is something that the Marlins need to move.
It's a curious piece of real estate you've already carved out. We've spent what seemed like a lifetime trying to get Loria out of here.
It's weird.
You're already not giving Jeter
it's weird.
a chance.
No, I need
weird,
an upgrade.
Man.
This is not an upgrade. This is a poor Loria.
I'm totally with Guillermo on this.
Loria.
No, because we all thought it would be a celebratory time down here when the Marlins...
We're having an actual parade. Mike has been having city council meetings, getting permits for a parade.
I haven't had some calls returned on that.
But I'm with Billy. It doesn't feel like we should be celebrating because the new owners, you figured if he sold the team, new owners would come in and spend money. And these new owners are telling you, no, we're going to operate the same exact way as he did.
There's this, belief that, you tear it down and you become the Astros. It's like, we've torn this down so many times, and we're not the Astros. Just because you tear it apart doesn't mean you're going to be great again.
That's true. But Jeter, the idea behind Jeter and his baseball people, why would Jeter not believe, I could do that better? I'm smarter. Look at me. Look at me. Newspapers and sports publications were dying. I got in that game, and I made something that mattered. Look at me. I always win. I don't need as much money. I'm smarter than everybody else. I always win. I'm better than everyone else.
He's not. Prove me wrong.
It's October. Are we really burying Derek Jeter now?
Yep.
Well, this is the problem we're weirded out by Guillermo. He wanted this owner gone so much, and he hasn't given the new owner not 5 minutes of benefit of the doubt.
Why should I? What has he done for me? 3,000 hits. Please. What has he done for me as an owner? Nothing. He's come in. He's like, I want to get rid of the sculpture that I love. Oh, I want to get rid of this.
What this is
I want to get rid of that. Oh, I want to trade everybody.
He got rid of luminaries.
Luminaries.
Exactly. Thank you.
Luminaries. We're so successful.
Well, no, he did not get rid of luminaries. He made someone else get rid of luminaries.
Exactly. Gutless.
Oh, you didn't like that either.
And then he brought back the luminaries, we think. Maybe.
Wait, really?
Do we know?
gutless.
Wow.
He is. He's gutless. I mean,
he's gutless either way. He's gutless if he fires him. If he's gutless if he brings him back.
Yep.
That is the Stugotz position. It is the position where Stugotz always wins. No matter what is being done, you're gutless.
You really like the sculpture.
Have you seen it? You've never
I've seen
been
your
to Marlins
clothes,
Park.
so it makes sense. But
whoa. Yes. Is that supposed to mean? Jeez. Regular Donna Karen over here with her fancy clothes.
Donna Karen!
Wow.
Donna Karen!
Wow.
That's where you go with women's fashion? You went straight to the 90s, Guillermo? You are so unfamiliar with women's fashion.
Okay, who's a popular women's fashion?
Who would you go to?
I'd
go Donna Karen.
Shoes? Louboutin?
No, we're not talking about clothes. We're talking about clothes. Come on, Dan.
Louboutin.
Do you even know?
Give him a second. Give the man a second.
He
doesn't even know.
I'm more shoes than I am
Who'd you just say? What was that
fashion.
name?
Louboutin is the shoe. It's the expensive shoe.
Louboutin.
He even said it.
Dan Le Batard.
I had just come back from a journalism convention in Atlanta, and I was trying to get into my house. And, I was penguin walking down the driveway, and I realized I couldn't find my keys anywhere.
Stugotz.
I don't right now have the ability, given the state of my body seizing up, to climb through a window, to break a window. There's no time for that. What do?
You find a public place and you do what you got to do.
All right, so I went in the backyard, but this is the funny part about it visually is there's Dan Le Batard pooping next to a mountain of journalism plaques. I got 5 of them.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
ESPN Radio, Dan.
Hold on a second. Hold on. Because Mike just yelled in your ear set in a way that I heard, how did you make it here? And it's because you were asking for help with the word candidacy.
It's a tough one for me.
Okay, and he's just yelling, how did you make it here? For the record, if you weren't with us in the local hours, Stugotz has thought all his life that it's Lou Gehrig. ICK. And also during the break, he was yelling at me, Dan, you owed $2 because you called Louis Vuitton Lou Vuitton. He thought I was shortening Louis Vuitton into Lou Vuitton, that I was so chummy with Louis Vuitton that I made him Louis Vuitton.
Well, you didn't do that? I think it's Louis.
It's
Louis.
Louboutin. The name of the shoe is Louboutin.
Really?
It's a hard word to say.
It's one word.
How do you know that?
I don't know very much about women's fashion because I was going to come back at Guillermo with Chanel and Dior and Fendi, and I don't know if those are any more modern than Donna Karen.
They feel more modern than Donna Karen. Donna Karen was extremely 90s cool.
ESPN Radio is presented. This could be a roller coaster, guys. Hang on. By Progressive Insurance. Guest on the Dan Le Batard Show. Appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Get instant gold status at Shell. Join the Fuel Rewards program now at fuelrewards.com/gold. Here's your Sports Center update. World Series Game 1. Dodgers beat the Astros 3-1. Clayton Kershaw, 7 innings, 3 hits, 1 run, and 11 strikeouts. He was brilliant. Now do it in a big game. An MRI on the left knee of Anthony Davis came back negative following the Pelicans' 103-93 loss to the Trailblazers. He's listed as day-to-day. Here we go. And finally, despite hyping up a potential candidacy for several months now, Kid Rock told Howard Stern that he has no interest in being the next senator of Michigan. The faux political campaign that included an official website, merch, and in-concert stump speech was merely a promotional stunt for his new album, Bleep No, I'm Not Running for Senate. Are you kidding me? Rock said during his appearance on Stern's Sirius XM radio show on Tuesday, who couldn't figure that out? I'm releasing a new album. I'm going on tour, too. Are you bleeping me? Rock said he was surprised by the public reaction to his candidacy, and when prominent conservatives actively began courting him, members of his own team wondered if he could actually run. Rock and former White House strategist and Breitbart head Steve Bannon was among his biggest advocates, encouraged him to run.
What happened there? You just lost all confidence. That was not a hard read, and you just gave up on it.
There's two candidacies in there. There's a Breitbart in there.
A lot of bleeping.
There's an advocates. There's bleeping. I mean, there's just just short.
You made the name of the album. You made the name of the album. I'm not running for Senate. Are you bleeping kidding me?
It was funny.
I don't know how you read it. Oh, really?
I didn't know that story. That's what happened.
I thought it was interesting. That's a great PR campaign for his album. That's a funny move by Kid Rock to traffic and everything that's happening in America just for record sales.
But then people took it serious. I mean, that's so 2017, which is things start as a joke and then they become seriously so quickly now.
Are they still called record sales? They're not called record sales anymore, are they?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they are. I owe money here. I don't have any.
For blaming everybody because you read poorly? Just put it in the IOU bucket. There are like 7 Stugotz IOUs in the IOU bucket.
I have a matchbook. I think that was
He's
left.
hoping we forget.
It was left in my jean pocket last time I wore them.
Guillermo, is it on the poll that should there be power plays in football?
That was a good one.
For penalties, because I want to go back there conversation. I also want to talk about what's happening with 2 guys in 2 different sports requesting trades, or not requesting them, demanding them, and how different the power in basketball is and how different it is from the power in football. So you've got Martavis Bryant of the Steelers wants out, and the Steelers are saying, nah. And Eric Gordon of the Suns wants out, and the Suns are saying, yeah.
Eric Bledsoe, that's a fun.
Wow.
Boom.
Got him.
You did get me.
Straight up.
Yeah, Gordon's on the Rockets.
Can I ask a really
He definitely doesn't want out of there.
Ignorant question. If Bledsoe just doesn't play a game, like how much money does he lose?
I'm not
how does that work in basketball?
Well, isn't it guaranteed?
It's not. No, it can't be guaranteed if you don't play. There's going to be a prorated penalty system for all the games that he misses.
But is it all of it? You lose all your money?
If he never comes back, if he doesn't come back, he's not going to get any fewer paycheck. He's not going to get any more paychecks.
It was odd for the GM to say he will not be moving forward with him. Why would you do that?
Well, they lied to him because they're fed up. They're done.
But that wrecks your trade value if he had any trade value.
No,
right?
but that is one of the things that I find interesting here. Mina Kimes in with us, ESPN the magazine, is the power in basketball. When you give it to the player, it has great rewards for everybody. The player has been empowered in basketball. Stars are important. They sell their stars, and basketball has gotten stronger because of it. But this is the downside. Bledsoe making a mess, and he's got the power to get rewarded for the mess that he's making.
Right.
And you don't have that power in football. Ryan is going to stay there until the Steelers are ready to trade him.
Sure. I guess I'm asking about the money to inquire where that power stems from. Because when the Kyrie thing happened, when he said, I want to leave, and they're like, I guess he has to leave now. I was like, wait, what? You can just do that in basketball? And thinking through why, my first instinct was, well, financially, they have guaranteed contracts, blah, blah, blah. But if you're not going to get paid, then it's not necessarily a financial thing. It seems more psychological or structural.
Well, but no, the way that it becomes financial is that he is willing to sit out here and cost himself millions that the Suns can't use. They can't take it and turn it into anything unless they trade him, because he's going to sit. He can sit out the whole season this way, and he will sacrifice the $15 million. But by virtue of being their highest paid player, he's got that $15 million locked up. They can't do anything with it, so they have to trade him because they can't wait him out.
Is that different from football? Can they use the money?
No, they can't. But in football, the money's not guaranteed. Bryant's contract this year isn't worth very much. Like they
could just cut him, is what you're saying.
Well, they wouldn't cut him.
No, in football, I mean,
they've got him so cheap that they wouldn't have to.
You might as well
him.
keep him, right?
I'm talking about what emboldens basketball players to do this. Obviously, the guaranteed contract's a factor. Also, I think the fact that you can come back. You could miss a year and you're fine. Whereas in football, you can't really miss a year, take a year out of your career. It's a huge problem because the windows are so small. So there's a bunch of reasons, I think.
Yes, all of them, the differences between the sports, though.
Right.
It's not just because they're both salary cap sports, but in one, the player has guaranteed money power, length of contract power that allows him to force a trade out of Phoenix.
It's always been that way. So why now?
It has always been that way. I mean, the new collective bargaining agreement has made the money so much in guarantees. I don't even know, Mike, what does Bryant make this year? Do you know what Bryant?
I don't think a lot.
Not a lot.
Not a lot.
No,
yeah.
And he's good value for whatever it is that he's making. And if Antonio Brown or gets hurt, and they're a good team, like there's really no point in trading Martavis Bryant unless you can get something right. It's not like you can get a lot back for him.
Right. It's interesting.
His base salary is just over $600,000. Has a bonus of an additional $100,000.
But and the other thing that gives Bledsoe power is that he's already made money.
That as well, right?
Correct.
He's already made a good amount of money, and so he could just sit here. No, I'll sit out the season. I'll take this $15 million hit.
It was interesting. The Suns GM, Ryan McDonough, he came out. He didn't say it by name, but he said that Eric's a really good kid, and he's getting some really bad advice and surrounding himself with not the best people, and his agent's Rich Paul. And then there's LeBron and all that kind of stuff.
So now, but wait a minute. Let's think about this, though. Do you realize, though, that if this is all somehow being orchestrated behind the scenes in Cleveland, Cleveland doesn't have anything but old players. But let's just say that LeBron is working with Rich Paul to actively try and get this guy. How would you do it? Like this?
Yep.
This is how it would look if you were trying to, hey, just take the millions of dollars in hits, make them trade you, make your value go way down so no one else can trade for you, and we've got only old players on our roster. Let's make Phoenix take something to get you here. That's how you would do it if you have power.
LeBron played point guard last night. He started at point guard last night.
He should have been playing point guard from the beginning.
I mean, he was fantastic, but I think LeBron doesn't want to be working that hard at this age. You know?
So you're saying LeBron wrote the tweet?
I don't know. I don't know what happened here. I love player empowerment, and I love that this group of guys that LeBron James has, they're trying to, LeBron James is not going to sit here and just watch Golden State. Bury him.
Right.
He's not. He's not going to just sit there and let that happen. He's going to try and use his power behind the scenes to try and make stuff like this happen.
So we're assuming that Bledsoe was lying when he said he was at a hair salon?
The GM is assuming that. The GM is saying he was not at a hair salon. The GM is saying that.
But you saw some...
It could be the truth. I don't think the GM is saying he's lying. He's just denying that was the meaning of his tweet. Like, I think he
flatly said, we didn't believe that.
He said, we didn't believe that, period. He called him a liar.
Well, did he not believe that he didn't want to be at the hair salon, or did he not believe that he didn't want to be in Phoenix?
He didn't believe the whole hair salon excuse.
All right.
He left the tweet up, which I respect.
What do you guys think, though? If I put it out to you that way, everything that's happening in Phoenix, which is weird. A guy, the highest paid player in Phoenix, just wants out and is making a mess, and you've got a situation where the GM is saying, that guy was lying to me, he will not be with us anymore. Just flatly. You don't think that that's something that LeBron and Rich Paul are doing behind the scenes with one of their clients?
I absolutely do.
Now that you laid out the case, it's pretty crystal
clear.
How
would it not? LeBron's not going to just sit here and say, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to go get the Warriors with Rose, who's already out, and Wade, who's already on my bench.
So no chance. This is all just one crazy mix-up. I think it is. And he just did not want to wait at that salon.
Who wants to wait at a salon?
I mean, I've been there, man. I have been there waiting for my wife to get the hair done. It's not the worst. The worst is when you go shopping for clothes. I mean, that is just brutal. And I'm telling you, these stores need to do something about it. There needs to be like a men's lounge where we can just hang out, watch some sports, have some food. I'm serious, because then I'd go shopping with her all day. She could spend all my money.
Mike, help me out. Is this not a known thing in basketball Twitter that it's being pretty clear here that Cleveland is, with a player having the power, getting around the tampering stuff by making this mess in Phoenix?
I want to follow this to the natural conclusion, though, because this was all triggered by the tweet. Do you really think that LeBron had a hand in the tweet? Was he on the phone with him? Like, how does this play out in your mind?
I think it's just, we're a team here. We are a team. We represent you, and let's figure out a way to get you out of Phoenix.
I don't want to be here.
I think he was at the hair salon. I don't know what you guys are doing.
Catch more of the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz, 10 to 1 Eastern on ESPN Radio and ESPNU.
You can always count on Bud Light, just like you can always count on Tailgate Terry. Without Tailgate Terry, you wouldn't have cold Bud Lights and 7-layer dip at every pregame. That's 56 layers per season. Just the right amount if you ask Terry. Tailgate Terry is famous among friends. He deserves a Bud Light. Enjoy responsibly. Bud Light Beer, 80 St. Louis, Missouri.
Dan Le Batard.
We have a montage
of
useless sound that will be for. I'm sorry, I'm having trouble with my voice. What do you want me to do?
I can't relate at all. I cannot relate.
Stugotz.
I'll tell you what happened there. I just shoveled 4 turkey sticks into my face without using my hands. And I ate them the way that a pelican might.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
There are a number of things I want to get to here. Mina wants to take back football. She's got a lot of facts and information that make my opinions on football seem stupid. And so we'll get to that in a second.
Okay.
She has been mispronouncing words all her life.
We all have.
Welcome to the club.
But she is feeling insecure about the pronunciation of some words, and I was explaining to her that the first time I was on PTI, I called it, instead of panache, They still make fun of me. There's a restaurant across the street from where PTI used to film now called Panache. I referred to it as panache.
Why did you, just because it sounds...
It sounds like that's what it should be.
Panache.
Like, would you say, guys, let's go across the street to Panache?
No. That was before. I'm saying the restaurant, they make fun of me by sending me pictures from that restaurant because there's a restaurant now across the street that's been built since I pronounced it panache.
It does sound better because you use panache in an instance where you really want to dress something up and make it sound nice. That makes panache. It puts panache in panache.
Panache. Sounds like somewhere Billy would shop.
But we were learning. Were learning of things that Guillermo. I love that she's just taking you out.
Yes.
I mean, and it's such an easy target. Too.
It really
Did you pick on anyone more meek on this show? Jeez.
It's literally, this is the animal
You're a
kingdom.
bully, you know?
This is how it works in the animal kingdom. The weakest animal identifies the other weakest animal. I am you. You know that, right? Like, you see what's happening.
I love
here.
though. I want her to get the strength where she does that to everybody. I want her to be so powerful that she takes out all of the other animals.
I'm at the bottom of the food chain, and I locked eyes with the other.
Prison rules. Go after the toughest guy.
Yes, well, this is the thing I thought she was doing at the beginning. It was prison rules of siding with Stugotz.
No.
And then all of a sudden they'd both go after me. And I thought that's what she was doing from the very beginning in our environment.
No.
Speaking of prison, I saw a really good movie the other day.
Okay.
Brawl in Cell Block 99. I was stunned by it because Don Johnson and Vince Vaughn were in it. I'm like, that can't be good. I'm like, it can't be.
Is this old?
It was. No, it's a new movie. I was surprised by it, and it's right down your alley, Stugotz.
Really?
Like, it's a big, dumb movie that's not quite that big and dumb, and Vince Vaughn is a thug in it.
I'm surprised you liked it. 93% on Rotten Tomatoes.
It was good.
93%?
I really
93.
liked it.
I was stunned that it got such a high rating on Rotten Tomatoes because of the cast. I was stunned that Dan liked it because of the cast. It's available on video on demand, and I think you can buy it on Amazon
Did
and
it go
Apple
straight
TV.
to video?
Not usually a good sign.
It was never in the
It
theater?
was not a theatrical release, but it's also not available on traditional streaming platforms just yet. You still have to rent it.
As you all know, I usually see most movies, but I missed this one.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty much caught up.
Right.
Missed this one.
Yeah. On all movies?
All the greats.
Every movie.
Yeah.
Almost every movie.
We will get back to that at some point during the show. But Mike Ryan learned today, or this week, that it's a row to hoe, not a road to hoe. Put it on the poll, Guillermo. Did you know it was a row to hoe? And Mina just learned during the break that it's sewed, not sowed.
Right, and I taught you guys today that it's Lou Gehrig and not Lou Gehrig.
Yeah. He has spelled it all his life. It's astounding. He's spelled it all his life as Lou Gehrig.
Are we putting that road to hoe thing on the poll? Because that feels like an alley-oop. People are going to make some jokes.
Yes, there are going to be some.
Yeah. I'm not going to make them. I just, no.
You want them to make them?
I want to ask you guys this question before we get to you guys taking back football.
Thank you.
Mike, can you look up for me whether this story is true or not? Jack Johnson, the old heavyweight boxer who in the 1919, 1920, I think, 1930s, that he was so famous and strong and other people were scared of him, and he was a black man who was dating white women, and it infuriated a lot of white people. I want to know if the story is true, that what he would do, because I heard this story and I didn't look it up, is he would get stopped by police and there would be a fine involved at the time. And whatever the fine was, he'd give them double and say, I'm going to do it on my way back, too. And I want to know if that story's true, because I would love if LeVar Ball's son were like him and now there were two of them going at people, as opposed to what Lonzo is doing, which is he's not... He's with his father, but he's in the shadows behind his father. I want to see this as a tag team situation where the son is every bit as in your face as the father, and I want to see how we react to that one. Because right now it's the father bringing the hunters upon his son.
That's happening. The little one is just like the dad, I think.
Yes.
I forget his name.
It's not LaMelo, is it?
I think it is.
It is LaMelo. It is LaMelo.
The one who has a Ferrari or a Lamborghini already at
with
16.
the Odell hair.
Yeah.
He
Yes.
appears to be LeVar Mini.
Do you get $2 back when you guess a name correctly?
I wasn't guessing. I felt like I knew the name. The rare knowing of the name from me.
a lot of money on the table right now.
All right, take back football. Go ahead and take back football. I've been saying, for those of you who don't know, I don't want to bore you again with the opinion, but I am checking out more and more of games because I'm tired of the quick passes, the 3-yard passes, the 16, 50-yard drives that result in a missed field goal. And so Mina is here to tell me why I'm wrong.
Well, so we were talking about it earlier, and you said, I feel like football is, bad, the offense is bad, this is short completion, whatever. And so some of that is not wrong. What I told you was that this year, and this is before Sunday, scoring was not great, but teams are averaging 23, I wrote it down, I think it's 22.3 points per game versus 22.4 points per game. So it's not like some kind of dramatic
over the last 10
decline.
years. My eyes are lying to me on scoring being down, even as 6 teams in the 1 o'clock games didn't have an offensive touchdown on Sunday. That I'm doing confirmation bias, that I'm noticing when it appears, and I'm not noticing when it doesn't appear, because that Monday night game was great, for example, and Thursday night football has been pretty good
Carson
this
Wentz
year.
kept throwing it deep. I was thinking of you the whole time. You're right, though. Air yards per attempt are down by like 0.2 yards. There is a stylistic change, but it's not ineffective. 35% of pass attempts result in first down. Previous 10 years, 35%. So it's the same. The style of football has changed a little bit, but I guess I get tired of this. I feel like it's like how people complain about how SNL is bad and SNL stinks and it used to be so great. And then when you go back 10 years and read the articles, it's been the same complaints for 10 years and it used to be so great. I just don't buy the trend is what I'm saying.
I'm kind of with you. I'm not kind of with you. I'm with you. I love the NFL today as much as I've ever loved the NFL. I think the problem with the NFL, there's just not as many great quarterbacks playing right now in the NFL.
But here's what she would say.
Great quarterbacks.
She corrected me on this one, too. Go ahead. Have at it.
Well, you were saying that there's so many injured quarterbacks, so I was just kind of writing down. I was like, all right, Rodgers is obviously, but he's been injured before. He's missed seasons before. And then you get Carr, who came back, Mariota, who's back. And then it's Bradford, Palmer, and Cutler. So it's not like we're losing all of these fantastic quarterbacks.
Well, what she was saying, though, is about the idea of football being cyclical and that we just hit a patch where the quarterbacks didn't hit, is what she was saying. She was saying...
And that's what I'm saying. I think we're just in one of those patches where Brady and Rodgers, and then there's a huge fall-off after that. It used to be... I remember times where there was 7 or 8 great quarterbacks playing at one time, and then the drop-off wasn't... The drop-off was Phil Simms.
Right.
That was the drop-off.
It's cyclical. So 2012, you had Luck, who's been mismanaged and hurt, Wilson, who's still great, and then RG3 and so forth and so forth. 2013, worst quarterback draft maybe in 10 years. That's the E.J. Manuel draft. 2015, Mariota and Winston, who seem okay. Now it looks like 2016 draft is fantastic with Goff, Wentz, and Prescott. But they're rookies. I mean, they're second year, whatever. But so it's going to take a second to climb back up.
Are you buying on that? Because what I would argue, and perhaps incorrectly, but what I would argue is it feels like it's harder. And I don't have facts behind this. I'm not coming at you. I've got 2 injuries this Sunday. It feels harder to keep the quarterbacks healthy, even as they change all the rules to different than they've been the last 10 years, different than they were the 30 years before that. They've changed all the rules to protect the quarterback, and still Mariota can't go. And Andrew Luck is hurt for a long time. And Aaron Rodgers is out. And Derek Carr is playing through, broken back issues.
These guys have been hurt before, though. Brady was out before. Rodgers was hurt before. I mean, this isn't novel. By the way, you were saying they get the ball out so quickly, so I looked that up, too. It's 2.5 seconds now. 2011 through 16, it was 2.53 seconds. So a whopping 0.03 seconds faster. It's not really that dramatic.
But isn't that where the changes started, though? On the starting point on your data there isn't that where the changes started, where we were doing less drop back, getting rid of the ball?
2011, you think it started as early as
am I wrong? I don't know. I think of Belichick sort of putting that in play as Brady got older. Get rid of the ball, Tom. We can't have you hurt. I thought that's where that got put in play, where the Patriots started playing like that, and then everybody started playing like that.
6 years ago.
No?
I mean, I think right now this whole spread, get it out quickly, West Coast short pass, that's all 2 or 3 years, it feels like.
Yes.
But I'm saying it's not having a huge material effect on the way the game is played.
There's just some really bad quarterbacks. What incentive do I have to go watch Trevor Siemian? 0. I don't want to watch him. It's boring. He's terrible.
But there's always been Trevor Siemians. It's just survivorship.
No,
bias.
I know, but there was also. It seems like there's a lot more Trevor Siemians than there are Aaron Rodgers.
Was he wrong about that though? Because that would be my complaint, but I don't have a factual complaint on that. It might be my eyes lying to me like it's lying to me on the other stuff.
You forget about Trevor Siemian version 2002. I'm just saying, like you forget about that.
I was longing for a time where you could tune in the 90s and watch Oilers Bengals, and you'd see Chris Chandler and Jeff Blake throwing it all over the field. I felt like airing it out. Yeah. And you can't pay me to watch certain quarterback matchups in the league right now.
I mean, Mike, there was a time where, God, I feel like Rick Cody right now. I really do. Back in my day. But there was a time where, like, Dan Fouts was, like, the 6th or 7th best quarterback in the NFL. He was throwing it all over the field.
But she's coming with facts, and we're coming with just our memories.
Yeah, but Bledsoe couldn't make a Pro Bowl, and he'd be the best quarterback in the league outside of Aaron Rodgers right now.
Bill Barnwell has done a lot of really good work on this over the years, and he has this... He did a story on this where he talks about how Ryan Tannehill played in the 90s. Statistically, if you really break down like his QBR and everything, he would have been like a top 5 quarterback. So it's not like they were better back then. It just feels that way. It's the SNL thing. I really think it is.
Look at me now. I'm getting paper.
Texter writes in, this whole segment is Dan being proven objectively wrong. That's a fine. I told you guys that when I'm wrong on facts,
that's a fine too.
On facts, that's a fine for me.
I feel like I said some of the same things on Monday.
I didn't.
It was all
your gas bagging, flaming opinions. It didn't have any facts on it to the 10th of a second.
I was shooting from the hip. Granted, there's no question about it. But you also respect Mina more than you respect me.
Because she's coming with facts. I respect her information more than I respect your information.
We're ultimately landing in the same place.
Correct.
Yes, correctly.
Yes.
If you're a do-it-yourself mechanic, then you know that certain products could make or literally break your car. That's why you should listen to the car experts at Advanced Auto Parts. Tell them more, Stugotz.
So you travel with the home team, tailgated at a few games, and now it's time for an oil change. Advanced Auto Parts has the deal for you. 5 quarts of Pennzoil Platinum Full Synthetic or High Mileage Full Synthetic Motor Oil and a pure
I miss John Kitna. I miss John Kitna.
I miss him.
All over the field. Yes.
All over. And he was a punchline back then.
I miss
quarterback
John
in the
Kitna.
league. Oh, John Kitna, I miss him.
I'm not objectively wrong.
Dan Batard.
Texter writes in, what makes you happy?
Stugotz.
Do I give off on-air unhappiness? Do I give off?
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit more recently.
Yeah, recently.
Yeah,
really?
No doubt. Yeah. I mean, we're walking on eggshells around here, man. All of us.
Money.
This is very therapeutic. I'm glad this came up.
Money. We can all agree. Money. It's money. Money makes him happy.
Yeah, money.
That's not true at all.
Money.
Well, it's the things money buys, really. Like the binge drinking.
Yeah, possessions. Yeah.
Possessions.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
This place is so chaotic, okay? Everything is swirling around here, everyone with their own agenda. So I want to take you folks behind the scenes so that you can see what was happening during the break, okay? Because I'm convinced that the show outside of this show is funnier than this show.
I had 19 different conversations going on at once.
Stugotz was giving takes in every direction, and I swear to you that Mike Ryan and Stugotz found themselves longing for the days of Kelly Holcomb. They were saying specifically, did you see these Kelly Holcomb games? And in the middle of that, Roy, with his own agenda, as they're just yelling quarterback names at each other, leans into me and says, hey, Kaepernick has been invited to that players-owners meeting next week. So that's his agenda. All the while, the clumsy, insecure Reaper comes in here and forgets its mask. So now, and the clumsy, insecure Reaper was in here handing me point spreads and then forgets its mask, and so now I am holding the mask of the Reaper, and the Reaper does not want to come in here without a mask. So Guillermo or somebody come get this and fix this situation because the Reaper is a total mess.
Oh, that's bad for the Reaper. Okay.
All right, the Reaper's sickle is coming in here. Here, Stugotz, put that on the. Is that a sickle, a sheath? What is that called? What does the Reaper own? The weapon of the Reaper, is it a?
I think it's the sickle, right?
Okay.
Just careful
all right,
with
it's
that.
falling down. Yes, just put it right there on the end of the sheath.
Yeah, that's what I did the first time.
Yeah,
there it is.
Through the eyes, through one of the eyes.
You got it?
Got it?
All right. That sound you hear is a rubber mask continually hitting the floor, falling off of the Grim Reaper's a disaster. Let it be known. It's weird that the Grim Reaper is neurotic and clumsy and awkward, but I love that about the Reaper. So the Reaper will be in here in a moment because Mina Kimes has to she has to pick from the from the bucket of death. She has to pick from it. So we have to do this. Reaper, put your damn mask on and get in here because we're all waiting on you now. The radio show is just sitting around waiting for you to come in here with your mask and again with your cleavage. For the love of God, man, the Reaper is supposed to be genderless.
Whoa.
The nail polish. Unbelievable.
Whoa.
All right, so here's what we do every week. All of us get in the place that you're supposed to get that doesn't block the camera that's been the same for the last 20 months.
I swear to you. Blocks the camera, and then the next move is hits head on TV.
Every week. It's just I don't know. The thing about the Reaper, in real life, so damn competent. But as the Reaper, total neurotic failure. Anyway, so we pick from a bucket here, a bucket of death brought to us by the Reaper. First pick is not automatic unless it's double death, which results in 2 weeks of shame. Of course, the Reaper dropped its sickle. Just stand there and don't move anymore.
The Reaper's rattled,
stop
man.
moving. Yeah. Stop moving. Just put the bucket here and don't do anything else. So Mina is going to pick. Just stand there.
I know.
Don't fall out again. Do not talk. That's $2.
Why is Mina
why
soothing the Reaper?
Are you comforting death? Mina, stop comforting death. Death deserves our wrath, not our pity. You owe $1 for saying I'm sorry.
I just heard it.
Cruddy, right?
Yep.
Go ahead and reach into the bucket.
Crud, that's a
Crud
curse.
is a curse. That's $2.
Crud is not a curse. I put in 20. I'm covered for it.
It's a bitten dog eaten.
It's at least 15.
20.
All right.
All right. So now Mina's selecting from the bucket of death, and if she loses, if her team loses, she's got to pick some shame from the grid of death.
All right.
The Texans.
Oh.
The
No
Texans have
way
been
she's
picked.
taking that.
So the Texans. Hold on a second. Let me tell her what the stakes
She
are
knows.
here.
She knows.
I'm aware.
Yeah, Seattle. She knows.
All right. So yeah, she's a Seattle fan. That's not going to work. You can throw that back.
Give me the brand. Do I put it back?
Yes. Texans on the road. Seattle 5.5 point favorite. Seattle is.
Oh, sorry, Mike.
Did you say give me the brown?
That's another apology. Another apology.
You're setting me up.
Another $1. No, he just wanted you near the microphone. He wasn't asking for anything other than you near the microphone on a radio show where your words have to be heard by the country. That wasn't Mike.
Ooh,
the Cowboys.
I think that's good.
Yeah, I feel good about this.
All right, so the Cowboys. She's got the Cowboys. The Cowboys it is. Who do the Cowboys have here?
Redskins.
They're at Washington.
Yep.
They're a 2.5 point favorite. Mina's opinion was that the Cowboys weren't good. I was talking to her off air. She doesn't think the Cowboys are good.
I
feel like
they're
I know.
great.
Thank you, Reaper, for all your incompetence.
Do you want the glove? I don't want it. It's gross. I don't think they're great. That's what I said about the Cowboys, and I stand by that. I don't think they're great.
You don't think they're starting, like it seemed like the last couple of weeks they've started to arrive at a place where they were at last year.
I don't think they're great. I just think they're really good. I don't think there's such a thing as great in that league. It doesn't exist as a team.
I think it's shaking out now. I think we're finally, the cream is rising. I think the Steelers, the Eagles, there's a few teams that are in that upper.
Well, but here's I don't do any of that because 3 weeks from now they could all be injured and none of it matters. Like I really don't do any of that.
I'll
now.
tell you what's going to happen in 3 weeks. Tom Brady will still be great, and the Patriots will still be great.
You know, so you and I were talking about this, the lack of predictability right now on account of the parity, which is real. It's not an NFL trend. It's this year. In 2015, I looked this up. There was no parity. It was the least parity in decades. So it's not like something. It's just this year, which I accept. But you were saying it bothers you a lot, not being able to have a definitive grasp on who's great. And I was thinking about that after we talked. Like, why does it bother you so much that you don't know?
Because I don't know what I'm watching, and by not knowing it makes it feel all the more random. It feels like we're just if we're playing lottery balls, and I don't know whose skill is determining what. I just don't know who is a unit that can be trusted on any one team to be great at something. They're like five, and so everything that happens is I'm just watching violent lottery every Sunday.
It is weird because the Falcons' offense was a unit you thought you could trust, and now you can't trust them anymore.
Don Batard. One of the things that's going to lose me every time is if instead of laughing, you're someone who simply says you're funny.
Stugotz.
What age was that where you sort of realized I'm a little too old for the carousing?
About 6 months ago.
Nice. That's funny.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
Mina Kimes in with us today, senior writer for ESPN, the magazine. I got a couple of things wrong here. You guys like it when that happens? Scythe. Scythe is what the reaper wields, not a sheath. A sheath it was something you would use to cover the scythe. And also, listen to how wrong I was about Tom Brady. One of the things that I find frustrating about not being able to do some of the measurements in football, that it doesn't quantify things for me the way the metrics do in basketball and baseball, is that I have a great deal of difficulty, as we all do, seeing a quarterback age in real time. What you're watching, Ben Roethlisberger physically, because he's wearing the uniform, because you're used to watching him for 10 years, he drops back to pass. He looks the same, and it becomes hard to measure how a quarterback ages. And the way I had always done it before was, as a quarterback gets old, the deep ball deteriorates. His accuracy deteriorates in a way that is quantifiable. However, that's how I thought Tom Brady was aging 4 years ago.
Yep.
I thought I was watching the aging of Tom Brady. Listen to this from the Washington Post. Adam Kilgore, Tom Brady at 40. This year, Brady has turned gunslinger, heaving bombs downfield with greater frequency than at any point in his 18-year career. Brady's penchant for deep throws is nothing short of a stylistic transformation. Last year, Brady attempted 49 passes thrown at least 20 yards in the air all season, according to Pro Football Focus, which uses the 20-yard barrier to define deep passes. This season, he's already tossed 40 deep passes, most in the NFL. Brady has thrown 15.3% of his passes more than 20 yards in the air, the third highest total in the league behind Deshaun Watson and Tyrod Taylor. His previous career high came in 2006 at 13.4%. In the past 4 seasons, when was Moss there? What was the year that Moss was there? In the past 4 seasons.
The Moss year was 2007,
right?
Yeah,
the amazing year.
Yeah.
In the past 4 seasons, Brady's frequency throwing long had ranged between 10.5% and 11%, ranking in the bottom half of the league compared to his peers. Brady relied heavily on short passes. This season, he's chucking it deep. Last season, according to the NFL's next-gen stats, Brady's average target was 8.6 yards downfield, put him in the middle of the pack, just below average among NFL quarterbacks. This season, he's averaging 10.1 yards in the air per attempt, 5th in the NFL. Woo! The loss of Edelman came as the Patriots added speedster Brandon Cooks, a complete receiver who gave Brady his best outside deep threat since Randy Moss. Brady's average pass to Cooks has traveled 14.5 yards, longer than any Patriots receiver last season. They figure out how to disguise all of their weaknesses.
Amazing.
They figure out how to work around age.
Well, he figures out,
Well, him and Belichick, I think, right?
Tom Brady's the one throwing those passes still. By the way, it's I love that you came at that rather than being like, wow, how amazing that a 40-year-old man, his career is improving. He's defied our knowledge of, and this goes back to what we were talking about earlier. There's a frustrating element. We thought we had him. We thought we knew what aging looked like. We thought we knew this, and he defied us. And it's interesting me linking the enjoyment of sports with the ability to kind of wrap your arms around it and predict what happens.
I'm also amazed by how, those stats everything you just said is so impressive. The fact that he never turns the ball over. His last 19 games, because he only played 12 last year, and so far this year, he has 43 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. Think about that.
Look, yes. And we can, and many of you do, give Brady all of the credit for that, and we splice it up, trying to figure out how to credit Belichick for it too. But what I am saying is I would love to know their secret. What did Belichick know that made him say, you know what I got to do? Even though my quarterback has been bad at deep passes for several seasons, and this is the way a quarterback ages, I'm going to get him Cooks, and I'm not only going to do that, I'm going to take a flyer on Dorsett as well. I'm looking at those signings, and I'm like, well, what are you doing?
Right.
Your quarterback can't throw the ball down there, and hasn't for years, because that's how quarterbacks age.
Right.
His deep ball looked pretty good last year. I remember being surprised that it still looked good. But you're right. That is Belichick. He did make that decision to bring on that personnel.
But what are the secrets that they know? I want so badly a book written. When Belichick is done, I want him to explain this to us. When there's not, to explain what it is that he's seeing, because that is, how the hell, listen to this, what I'm telling you. Don't get rid of the names. I've got a 40-year-old quarterback. Look at the history of quarterbacks and what happens to them at that age. I've got a 40-year-old quarterback who over the last few years has gotten worse and worse at accuracy and attempts on the deep ball. That guy is going to still be top of the league great at the deep ball at 40. You guys would all tell me that doesn't exist. There's no precedent for it in the history of the sport. It's that thing has never been allowed to be.
Yeah, I'd like to explain it. Well, I don't think those guys are going to explain it, though, ever.
Brady explains it all the time, doesn't he? Like the whole, this is my life, this is my body, I'm adjusting it, blah, 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 here's my cookbook. I mean, he's making the case.
Well, he explains how he is prepared. I think what Dan's talking about is just strategically how they're able to.
Well, but this is the thing, and we head down a dangerous path with this, right? Because we know that Tom Brady has a doctor who's not a doctor. Whenever I see things in sports now that I can't understand it because it has no precedent, the first place I go is what scientific secret is being, like, what's helping here? Because if I've never seen it before in sports, given all of the things I've seen in sports where, I'm not attributing my knowledge there. I'm saying the history of sports has a long resume of we haven't seen what Lance Armstrong has done before, and then it turns out to be false.
Do you doubt him?
And we haven't seen what Barry Bonds has done before, and then it turns out to be false. Like, this defies, like, all
We've never seen a 40-year-old be the best quarterback in the NFL, and that's what we're witnessing.
And so when I say what is their secret, I do actually, I'm not saying that it's definitely immoral or shady or anything else. I'm saying what is the secret, and if you have a secret that's a fountain of youth, I'm going to wonder what's going on around the pharmacy, because I don't feel like that's unfair. And I'm not saying it's that. I am not saying that. I'm saying how is he defying aging?
He's trying to tell us he is making this core to his legacy right now with the book, and like he is laying out the case. I am Tom Brady. I'm part of the culture. I am living forever. I am great forever. Here's how I'm doing it. The question is, like, do we believe him?
Okay, but do you? Because I know a lot of athletes who eat and exercise very well deep in their lives to protect their body.
He goes beyond that. He really does. The amount of thought and
you think he's doing more than anyone in sports?
How are sales for TB12, right? That would be a good indicator, because if indeed he's doing it this way, we'd all be buying it, and I don't think anyone is.
It's crazy.
I'm not sure why Dan's so skeptical. What have the Patriots ever done to make you question their honesty?
Don't forget, you can hear more of my sons Dan and Stu weekdays starting at 10 Eastern on ESPN Radio and ESPNU.
Computer, execute 12.4p operation.
Optimizing algorithm. Running encryption packet alpha. Night. Oh, I don't feel so good.
What is it, computer?
Is it hot in here? It feels hot in here. I feel a little clammy. I should lie down or something.
A computer with a virus? Surprising. What's not surprising? How much you could save by switching to Geico.
Those oysters Rockefeller were a mistake.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Dan Le Batard.
How do you keep drinking so much alcohol that you don't reduce your inhibitions? You take a bazooka to your inhibitions. Like, I can't even think of another circumstance where you say to yourself, I'm on a crowded airplane. I think the best place to poop would be on the beverage cart.
Stugotz.
I just don't understand. I don't understand drinking this way. Can you guys get me an expert on these matters? Some sort of expert.
I'm sitting next to you.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
Texter writes in here, and I really have enjoyed how many ways and things I've been wrong about today and been corrected about today. And so the texter writes in the following, and it's funny. Unlike the rest of us schlubs, Big Dan Le Batard has an unquenchable thirst for trying to understand the mysteries of what the rest of us all just mentally gloss over. Like how Tom Brady keeps playing at an elite level at 40. Yet instead of reading Brady's book, which purports to tell him just that, Dan would rather stay being Dan. And what I would say to you is that I've covered sports for a long time and talked to a lot of guys that I think care like Tom Brady does. I have not read this book yet, and I will find this book and read what Tom Brady is doing. But as an example for how much I've done about this in the past, Stugotz, Mike Ryan just Google searched something, and the article that came back was written by me.
Really?
Like, he started reading it, and he's like, wow, there's some good information in here. And then he looked at the byline, and the article was written by me. Now, this does not mean I know everything about this. It just means that I've known a lot of athletes who have gone to great extremes on caring. And so to say that Tom Brady has written a book about it and that he's doing unprecedented things, I'm going to put up a finger and be like, well, hold on a second. Are you sure? I don't even know what the things are, and I will read about what Tom Brady is doing and the health things he's doing. But, Mike, what was the article that came back when you called it up? What were the details in there that you were interested in?
It was an article that was called Life After the Game, and you were detailing the struggle that a lot of former players have. And you focus on a few players, Antrel Roll, to name another, but Bill Romanowski, you get in depth about the number of concussions he had, and he estimated at the time 24 at least. And then he went over with you on all the crazy things that he was doing to continue chasing that Sunday high because he loved the game so much.
And so Mike Ryan has put in front of me this list. Nobody was more insane about football than Romanowski. He took hundreds of vitamins a day. He ionized his own drinking water in his hotel room and always carried around a gallon of it. He sent his fecal matter to scientists to be studied. He used a hyperbaric chamber, an IV, to flood his system with antioxidants, and he didn't miss a single game in 15 years as the rest of life passed him by. Now, maybe Brady is doing more.
That was well written, by the way.
Yeah, great job.
Great writer.
Man, yeah.
Great writer.
Yeah.
But maybe Brady is doing more, and maybe Brady is an unprecedented kind of human being in how he cares about this more than anyone in the history of aging.
Maybe he is. But damn, what that doesn't explain, he could be doing all those things, right? Getting himself ready. It still doesn't explain. He never gets hurt. He was hurt one time in his career. He's never hurt. In that freakish game where everyone's getting hurt, he never gets hurt. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that's a product of TB12 and the training that he's doing or it's just luck. I have no idea.
Well, he said that he knows how to fall on his shoulder in a way that Aaron Rodgers doesn't.
I'm just going to say what's going on here. His body still doesn't look like a guy who's taking care of himself to the extremes that he's detailing. And you kind of figure that Tom Brady would be this specimen if he's doing all these things to keep playing at this high level. He looks like he did when he was playing when he started.
Flabby. Yeah, a little flabby.
Well, but what I want to put it on the poll, Guillermo, is Tom Brady a little flabby?
Oh, he is.
The part that I'm interested in, though, and exploring conversationally, because I'm not making any accusations. I'm simply telling you that when things arrive on your doorstep that don't have a precedent in sport, like Usain Bolt, for example, it's pretty reasonable, given the history of sport on this subject, that when something unprecedented arrives, you could be like, okay, what's happening there? Mm-hmm. Why is this person able to do something that no other human being has been able to do? And maybe the answers are in his book, and maybe they're not.
I don't think they're in his book. It's a boring diet. He drinks 12 to 25 glasses of water with electrolytes. He eats blueberries. What are we doing here?
Maybe.
How are you throwing deep balls to Brandon Cooks at an age that we're not used to seeing? And you're still, now that Rodgers is hurt, you're the best player in the
when
league.
You put it that way, it's kind of amazing. He's eating blueberries. Like when you put it that way, and yes, they're great for you. Blueberries are great for you. And drink a lot of water. That's also great for you. I don't know how his kidney health is helping him throw the ball downfield.
Well, maybe the book's a facade, and I happen to think that it is.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, I'm serious.
See, you're going to drag me into a hole, though. See, I don't want to be associated with you on this. And by the way, Mina had to leave because you're just going to go flying off to the extremes and just accuse him of steroid use. That's why.
Whoa. Was not going there, man.
Where were you going? Blueberries are delicious.
Well, while we're here, I mean, I'm just thinking, like, this would be a pretty smart thing. It's kind of like Eric Bledsoe, where they're telling him, hey, go to the salon and then send the tweet out that you want to send. Then you can always fall back on, hey, I was just at the salon. And so I think they created a whole facade here with TB12 and blueberries and a book and blah, 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 blah. So no one really looks into what's really going on here. I'm not saying it's steroids. I'm just saying it could be something else. It's a facade.
Will you wait for a second?
Blueberries.
And that booger that's been in your right nostril for 3 segments that I've told you about, each segment is still there.
So is Clooney's. Is it gone?
How do you not know the show that we're doing after all these years?
Is it gone?
Explain this to me.
I was just getting rolling on Brady. I didn't know Mike wanted to throw in some blueberries. Sorry about that.
Blueberries.
You know what I'd love one day, Mike, to actually, I wish scientists could figure out the way that I could watch the show through Stugotz's eyes. Because I don't think he knows anyone else is here. And I don't know the lengths. I don't think he recognizes the lengths that we're going to help him. He just doesn't realize the things that we're doing around him to buoy him. He thinks that he is soaring on his own.
I don't think you realize the things I'm doing for you.
No, I do. I do realize them. I know I can be hard that way. I do realize them. Man, why do you think you get paid so much? Like, honestly, if you don't think I realize them.
That's a fair point.
Why would I keep you around if you were honestly that frustrating? How is that booger still there? Like, how is it possible?
No,
it's still there in your right nostril.
Get
It's been there for...
I was checking the left. I thought you said the left.
Don Le Batard.
People have told me before, when I was younger, that I looked like George Clooney. I'm serious. When I was younger.
Stugotz.
You have a booger in your right nostril.
So does Clooney.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
I just saw on the television here, and this is not specific to Mike and Mike, but I hate most of sports television. And just on the screen here with Mike and Mike, there was the graphic, Kershaw dominates, rewrites October legacy.
Oh, please.
Well, you're just as bad on the other side. Like, go ahead. You're saying, oh, please, because the legacy hasn't been rewritten. I'm just as mad. I'm just about to get as mad at you as I am at them because of the stupidity of that. That Kershaw's got an ERA over 5 years under 2. He's got a couple of starts where you realize, I'm pretty sure I heard Richard Justice say this yesterday on Bomani's show, that when he's pitched on normal rest, Kershaw's postseason ERA is under 2. That I'm pretty sure that I heard that right from Richard Justice. The idea that one start rewrites somebody's legacy, like, this guy's one of the best pitchers we've ever seen, period. And if I keep throwing him in the postseason, you're going to see that he's going to be, the numbers are going to average out, and he'll be one of the best there, too.
I mean, he's had a bunch of postseason starts already. The ERA is 4.21 for his career in the postseason. He's had a bunch, Dan. Like, he's had,
And if I keep giving him as many postseason appearances as Jeter, Jeter looked exactly in the postseason like he did during the regular season. Why? Because he played 162 postseason games.
Right. So what was that stat? 4 days rest, normal rest?
On normal rest.
In the postseason?
Richard Justice. Can you guys look this up for me? Richard Justice, whose baseball information is as good as anyone out there.
Really good.
Said that when he pitches on normal rest in the postseason, not these 3-day starts that crush everybody, that crush every pitcher in baseball. If you start him on 3 days rest, on average, those numbers are terrible for pitchers.
Everyone? Like, everyone?
No, what I'm saying is the body of work. Okay. Like, if I start a guy on 3 days rest, those numbers are inflated for all pitchers because there's a reason guys rest as much as they do between games. It's because they're already at the edges of testing the human limit.
Well, that's interesting, and we'll try to track down that stat. I don't take much stock in that because the great pitchers, the ones that are basically like Kershaw, they go out and do it on short rest.
The legends, Kurt Schilling, Josh Beckett. There were guys, Andy Pettit, David Cohn. I'm telling you, all these guys. And the thing Kershaw hasn't done yet, Dan, is backs against the wall, down 3-2 in the World Series or an NLCS, and he's on the road, and he gives you 9 innings, and he shuts that team down.
Like Verlander did against the Yankees the other day.
Like Verlander will likely do tonight.
And I get it. You want more from Kershaw, and he hasn't been in the postseason. I just don't believe that's mental frailty. I don't believe that he's somehow weak, that he's a lesser pitcher. I'm willing to give credit to the other guys.
Okay.
I don't make the leap that you make about, well, Kershaw can't do it in the postseason, because we've talked about this before a million times, right? You know what's going to happen here, right? Kershaw's going to shove it up everybody's. He's going to win the championship eventually. If not this year, he's going to win the championship. He's going to be dominant. And what's going to happen there is not you're going to raise your hand and say, well, he proved me wrong, I was wrong. What you're going to do is then you're going to go over to David Price and do it. You're just going to go find the next guy you could do it to. You're not going to raise your hand and say, I was kind of a jerk about this. And furthermore, I was wrong, and he proved me wrong. No, I'm going to move over here and now do this mentally frail thing to some other pitcher.
Yep, I'll find someone else. I admit it. I'm not shying away from it. I mean,
right.
I mean, I'm hoping I could stay with this Kershaw thing for a bit longer. I'm hoping. I don't know why I'm hoping this, man. I love greatness.
You want to be right. You want to be right. You want to be right about him being mentally frail and weak.
To be honest with you, it's puzzling because I know Dan. How can you not know how great he is? He's great. He's maybe the greatest pitcher we've ever seen.
But he hasn't been in the postseason.
And that's confusing to me. That why in the NLCS, where he's had a bunch of starts, his ERA is 4.75.
And so the leap that you make that I'm not willing to make is that he's mentally frail. He shies away from challenges. He can't be trusted in a big spot. Those are big indictments, sweeping indictments to make of someone whose mental strength I don't question.
So what is it then? Like, do you have
I mean, baseball happens. Whatever. Baseball happens.
That never happens
No,
to
but
him.
if I give him numbers, though, if I keep giving him starts, you'll see, I think, more of what you saw last night. And, by the way, the offense he did that to is really hard to do it to.
Amazing.
They don't strike out like that.
Listen, he was incredible last night. I mean, how could I sit here other than say, hey, do it in a bigger game?
Well, but here's the other thing that baseball has changed around him in a way that's going to make it difficult for the numbers to average out. He does give up home runs now because everyone in the sport is swinging for him.
Right.
And so last night he gave one up too. He was dominant last night, but he's been giving up homers in this postseason because now baseball's all that. It's either strikeout or home run. Guy writes in here, why are you guys making Calais Campbell into a ghoul when he's a friendly giant? Well, I don't think that was Calais Campbell, was it? Or was it Al Jefferson? Give me my friendly monsters and my ghouls. And this is Halloween time. Another guy's writing in, do you guys plan to broadcast from Legler's house for Halloween? Man, I'd do that.
Oh, that'd be fun.
I would do a live broadcast from Legler's house on Halloween. I would set up a live remote, get some sponsors out there, and do that.
You've turned down the Super Bowl. You don't like doing remotes. We don't like doing remotes. You've turned down the Super Bowl, BCS National Championship
I don't even know where Legler lives. I don't know how cold it is, and I hate the cold.
He lives in Virginia, I believe.
I don't know where he lives.
Wherever it is, it's cold now.
I'm not saying this week or we're going to do it or next week we're going to do it, but I wouldn't mind planning in the future. If you're not familiar with Tim Legler, he's got an amazing Halloween house, and we call in and he gives us a tour, and we check in every year on all of the monsters.
Richard Justice tweeted this out yesterday. Clayton Kershaw is pitching on regular rest for the 5th time in his career. In the previous 4, he's 2-2 with a 1.67 ERA.
It's only 5 games.
Do it on short rest.
Okay, very good. Mm-hmm. Do it on short rest.
That's what the legends do, Dano.
Okay.
I'm telling you, that's what they do. That's why you remember David Cohn. I'm not even certain he ever did it on short rest, but that's why you remember David Cohn and Andy Pettit and all those guys.
Let me explain to you a feeling that just came up in me very strong that has never before made an appearance. It is unprecedented, this particular feeling.
Yeah.
When you called me Dano, I imagined myself drop kicking you. It's not a feeling that's ever come up in me before. Like you called me Dano and you turned away from me and you gave me the sausage fingers because you were pleased with how dismissive you were.
Yeah.
And in my head, I imagined you and I were actually in a ring. It was the Mark Macon ring in the Netflix show. What's that?
Mark Maron.
Mother,
That's a fun,
you know what
man.
I was afraid of? You know what I was afraid of? They're getting the name of the show wrong.
Well,
and instead I got his name wrong.
You got that right.
Damn
you got
it.
the name wrong.
You made him a city in Georgia.
Yeah. No, I made him. Isn't Mark Macon?
Macon, Georgia.
Was there
Mark
never-
Macon was a guard for
There was
Temple.
yes, that's it.
Yes.
That's exactly what. That's exactly what happened. I was looking. I was just like, wait, didn't he play in the pros for a little while? Played guard at Temple. I couldn't. I wouldn't have gotten Temple on my.
I think he was like the player of the year one year at Temple under John Chaney.
So Mark Maron, and what's the name of the TV show? Is it Glow? I was going to call it Glory. I was going to, and I was afraid of getting that wrong, and so I got Maron's name wrong.
It's a
Anyway,
Netflix show.
You were rattled.
About ladies wrestling.
Yes, but that's the ring I imagine drop kicking you in. An 80s.
Yeah, you walked yourself into that one because you could have just had a wrestling ring.
Yeah. No, but it wasn't just a wrestling ring. It was specifically that one is what I'm saying. In my imagination, we were in a warehouse in...
again, a fine of your own design.
I'm not disputing the fine. Rule maker. I'm not disputing the fine. I'm explaining to you how it is that I came... how it is that I arrived at the fine.
It's not nice, Dano.
On Batard. The Dolphins drafted Tunsil, played him at guard, let go of Brandon Albert, who was bought to replace Chris Long, who was taken with the number 1. Up, damn it.
Jake Long.
Damn it.
It's all right, man.
Cost me $1.
Stugotz. That's pretty egregious. I don't know. Should have just
It's his brother. Well, how is that egregious?
That's super egregious because they are not related.
Wow. That's a $5 fine right there,
okay.
right out of the gates.
Chris Long?
You confused Chris Long
and
with
Howie,
the offensive lineman from Chicago. That's actually his brother.
So the correction made it worse. I should have just shut up.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
Are you guys worried about the show? Because I feel like there's a lot of worrying going on around our show because I'm getting so many names wrong. And these fines. Like, you guys are not going to allow me to age as gracefully as College Game Day has allowed Lee Corso to age. Well, you laugh, but you especially. Like, you were there every single time. Like, the first pain I feel on any name I get wrong,
right?
And it's just aging. The first pain I feel is you slicing me in a way that suggests that whatever our future holds, it involves you slicing me. Like, with eagerness, because you do
fair,
it.
Man.
What do you mean it's not fair?
I'll be here for you, man. I'll be here.
As I age and deteriorate and all of this sinks into the ground,
I'll be here for you.
You'll be on some other show.
Words are just bridges to other lives.
Yes.
Yeah, Mike is right. I'll be here for you. Come on.
You will be here as long as the fruit.
I've got your back, man.
Yeah.
With a knife.
Mm-hmm. So I want to talk about a handful of things. I can't believe we haven't been able to get off the ground the idea of football having a power play, because I really love that idea. But I haven't been able to get off the ground whether Calais Campbell was the ghoul that we were talking about there. So a texter writes in, why are you guys making Calais Campbell into a ghoul when he's a friendly giant? What was the sound that the texter heard that he is saying is Calais Campbell and is ghoulish? No, that's Al Jefferson. That is Al Jefferson. He is the friendly giant, and I do think we've turned him into something that's a little bit ghoulish. But this is Calais Campbell.
Well, thank you.
Yes.
I'll take that as a compliment.
Yes. Yeah, we can't take that and make it ghoulish. That is friendly. It's accepting a compliment. Also, it will eat your quarterback. Like, it's made Jacksonville better at defense, just having that friendly giant in the middle of their defense. What other ghoulish friendly giants do we have?
I never have chance to be in the draft, and Thomas give me chance to be there inside and see what happens.
Yeah, that's Arvydas Sabonis. What other ghoulish things do you have back there?
Absolutely. I'm always looking for Jack Doyle.
No, that is not a giant. What is that? That's not one of the friendly giants. I don't know what that is. That's something with a pituitary problem. Let's see. What is this?
He's a confused monster.
Hold on a second. Let me hear it again.
Absolutely. I'm always looking for Jack Doyle.
No, it's you know what's key? The sniffle at the end. Yeah.
Well, he's sucking in air in between his tongue.
Right.
Is it, though? Because I feel what it is just giant nostrils taking more oxygen than the rest of us.
I hear that clip. I picture him wearing braces and snorting with laughter afterwards and then going to catch his breath.
Well, no, I think it's catching the saliva is what he's doing. Yeah.
Hold on a second.
Yes.
Mike, can we play a game here? Can we play that sound for someone who doesn't have any idea who it is and then ask them, what does that person look like? Like, I want to do some sort of theater of the mind thing. Who can we put that sound in front of? I mean, I'm thinking someone like my brother. My brother doesn't know anything about anything, so we could put that sound in front of him, and
it'll be fun to trick someone who actually follows sports, like playing that for Bob Kravitz.
No, but that doesn't work.
Well, Bob would know.
Oh, but if we got him, though.
No, but
we wouldn't.
Okay, well, let's figure out how to do that where they wouldn't know.
When did you realize that was a bad suggestion?
After I said it.
A terrible suggestion.
Of course Bob would know.
Hey, we're workshopping this on the air.
I know. I think his brother's probably.
Well, but do we have anyone else? Like John Amici. Who can we call that wouldn't have any idea? Play that sound again, and let me hear what it is Andrew Luck sounds like.
Absolutely. I'm always looking for Jack Doyle.
We can play for Richard Lewis, Charlie Pierce.
Ron McGill. You think Ron would know?
I don't know, but let's figure this out, and let's do it in the next segment.
Yeah, let's figure it out off air.
Yeah, well, but we do this on air all the time. Man, don't get mad at us because you had a terrible suggestion that involved Bob Kravitz.
That's exactly what just happened here.
Like, don't get mad at us. Like, we were doing
happened.
fine. The show was doing fine. This is interesting subject matter. I've come to learn that Mike Ryan, if Mike Ryan's not good, we're not good.
That's accurate.
Just come to learn that?
Well, but in his mind, I learned this yesterday. That if Mike Ryan...
It's often true.
It's all a part of your control of this environment. I am learning things about your need to control the rules in this environment.
When we think we've had a good show, and he tells us it wasn't.
No,
because
if
he
Mike
had a couple
Ryan...
of
That's only child stuff, though, man.
The show's gone down a few pegs recently.
Because you haven't been very good this week?
Because of Bob Kravitz.
How many only child friends do you have? Because that's actually a conversation I've had with a lot of parents about whether they have, the fairness of making only children because in the formative years, you're not taught correctly how to share. You've got all of your parents' attention and sort of how that distorts the entire adult prism because ESPN has theories about its big talent that has gotten in trouble and how it's always only child syndrome. Like on that the big talent that has gotten in trouble that hasn't felt supported enough, usually ESPN at the highest levels of management, they've noticed sort of an only child viral strain in adulthood. I'm guessing we could probably apply it to sports. I'm probably guessing that there's someone out there that can figure out for us. You know, we've told this story before. Terrell Owens' behavior. He finds out who his father is by the guy across the street coming over and reprimanding him and saying, you're not allowed to have my daughter as a crush. She is your sister. Like how much of that forms sort of some of the behavior you see in sports where guys are viewing things through and women through their prism. Through their prism and only through their prism. Stugotz thinks Jason Tatum is the big next superstar in sports.
I really do. I spent a ton of time watching the NBA last night because I finally had a free night. It's weird what fantasy sports will do for you because I was glued to Nets Magic last night.
Oof.
But because I have D'Angelo Russell, who happens to be a very good player, by the way, and I have Chris LeVert inexplicably. And so I'm watching, and Aaron Gordon. You asked yesterday if something going on in Orlando, and there is, and it's Aaron Gordon. Jason Tatum, though, I flipped over to that game. That guy looks like he is, like, right now, and he's only 19.
Yeah, he looks like an adult.
He looks like an adult.
Like a man in a man's body. That's what Lonzo Ball doesn't look like.
It reminded me of Kevin Durant watching him last night. Because he's got the length, he's got the size. I think he's 6'9" or 6'10". He can hit from, he's got great range. He's got the all-around game.
Kawhi Leonard looked like that at a young age.
Yes.
Justice Winslow looked like that at a young age.
Jeff Bagwell, only child.
Wow. What are you doing? Did you go to onlychild.com? See, that's why.
Yeah. Joe Montana, only child.
Wow.
Hall of Famers.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa.
Uh-huh. That's it?
Elvis Presley. John the Baptist also.
Wow.
Whoa. Ooh, Joy Behar.
Wow.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. These are all great people. You should only have one child.
They're great athletes. I don't know if they're great people. Are we determining that they're great people?
I mean, Lenny Kravitz seems pretty rad.
Man.
Nick Faldo.
You know what's great as Lenny Kravitz? If you're the only child who becomes a rock star, your whole life can be spent as getting all of the rewards without having to share. That is the best possible result for an only child rock star.
Oh, wait, I found what you're looking for. Lance Armstrong.
Wow.
Poison the well.
What do you think, Stugotz?
Jason Tatum, an only child?
Do you think, Stugotz, that the best path?
Tiger Woods. Now we're starting to go down a slippery slope here.
Whoa, that's crazy.
Do you think, there can be greatness from only children? I'm not saying that you can't get greatness from only children. I'm saying you get a distorted worldview from only children. I'm not saying that only children can't be great. I'm saying that only children are people who are used to being selfishly getting all their parents' attention from a young age, and if you never have to share any of that love over the first 14 years of...
I think there's something to that.
It's going to shape how you are as an
adult. Of
course,
I think there's something to that.
Maria Sharapova.
I don't think Mike understands the game we're playing.
I got it with her and Lance and Tiger a little bit.
I'm not saying.
Well, Montana's a stand-up guy. I can't find anything wrong with him.
You guys are assuming.
Has Montana ever done a single thing wrong in his life?
Is Joe Montana?
Put it to the poll.
Really? Okay. You guys are
those Sketcher commercials.
I think he delivers those well.
Okay, that's fine. All right, so there you go. Disproven again. Foiled again.
Did you think we weren't understanding where you were going with the topic? Because if you thought that, you were right. Because it was confusing. I had no idea really where you were going. If you listened to it back, you'd be confused as well. But it's okay. We move on. But I do think there's something to what you're saying.
Is that a fine?
Man, it is. I have no money on it. I owe you.
He's got like 10 of these outstanding.
You can listen to the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz 10 to 1 Eastern on ESPN Radio, and you can watch on ESPNU.